Klaus was a famous skier who became a fish and then lived with the Smith family in Langley Falls. He inhabited a variety of other bodies, became the lover of an absurd alien, and apparently becomes a human again in time to have a family. The whole thing makes next to no sense, but that's the life of a fish called Klaus. Hi, I'm Lydia, and this is the complete timeline of Klaus Haysler. By the way, if you want to see videos on Francine and Hayley, then do me a favour and quickly tap that like and subscribe button. Otherwise YouTube will not push this video. It's free and it really helps with the algorithm, so thank you. From skier to fish. The life of Klaus as a human prior to becoming a fish has never really been discussed. What is known is that he was a German athlete with some strange sexual proclivities.
When you're finished there, you would stick your naughty pinky finger into mine bowl and let me feel you.
But that's based on the comments he makes from his fishbowl as well as his former sexual obsession with Francine. One thing that is known is the fact that Klaus was an incredibly successful ski jumper for East Germany. He had perfected a technique called der flippity flop, a phrase that is shockingly fun to say.
Der flippity flop. Twice the distance, 4 times the risk.
This made him an odds-on favourite to win gold in the 1986 Winter Olympics. Well, that was until the CIA jumped in to prevent what was seen as an inevitable victory. They kidnapped Klaus and swapped his brainwaves with those of a goldfish. His body still competed in the race, just with the mind of a goldfish, and naturally Klaus lost the medal and his place in Olympic history.
Well, what were we supposed to do? Just let East Germany win that gold medal? Not on my watch.
What made his situation even more strange was that the CIA never put Klaus back in his human body, instead leaving him in fish form with the Smiths. Getting a new body. No relationship in the house is more difficult for Klaus than the one he has with Stan. That's not surprising though, as Stan represents everything negative that has happened to him. They cost him his dreams, his future, and even his very humanity. To Klaus, Stan is essentially the physical representation of all of his misfortune.
Klaus, you're an outside fish now.
For all intents and purposes, he is Klaus's jailer, almost literally holding the keys to the fish, returning to his human form. But on more than a few occasions, Klaus has been able to do just that. The first time in the series where Klaus managed to get out of his bowl and go for a proper stroll involved some big changes for him. When Klaus wants to be a human again, Stan decided to oblige and went down to the CIA to find him an available body. However, the only one available was the frontman of an Earth, Wind and Fire cover band who somehow pissed off the CIA. Stan was trying to be helpful to an extent, but it turned out that Klaus had other plans. He used his newfound form to attempt to woo Francine, coming a lot closer to succeeding than she would probably like to admit. Ultimately, Klaus was critically injured at the mall where Francine had set up a muffin kiosk, essentially leaving him with only one place to go. By the end of the episode, Klaus was back to being a fish, as is often the case. Jumping between dimensions. As strange as it sounds, it often seems like there's a lot more to Klaus than there first appears to be. Once and only once, Klaus demonstrated his ability to essentially teleport at will into another reality or dimension. He disappeared in a puff of mystical smoke only to reappear a couple of moments later. When he returned, he was dressed like a king and claimed he ruled the alternate reality he was in for 90 years. How Klaus did this and where he went are all questions I need answers to. Becoming Stan. For a long time, Stan kept Klaus's real body hidden away from him. This was both in a way of controlling Klaus, but also just screwing with him.
You suck, Stan! I'd rather be dead than live like a goldfish anymore!
But Klaus finally found where his body was, but was devastated to find out that it was essentially rotting away. And as a measure of vengeance, Klaus stole Stan's body and abused it in his own way,
Guten Morgen, fish face!
feeding it copious amounts of terrible food, drugs, and booze. He destroyed Stan's physical form as well as his reputation. In an attempt to stop him, Stan jumped into Klaus's rotting human corpse. Naturally, everything returned to normal by the end of the episode, except for one small detail. Klaus's real human body was finally destroyed, making sure that he will never come back as himself ever again. Roger and Klaus find the next level. The relationship between Klaus and Roger is shockingly complex and consistently complicated.
I'm gonna eat you one day.
They have, for the most part, an opposed relationship as they compete for the affections and attentions of the Smiths. But there are also times when they are relatively friendly to each other, or at the very least allies. This is because they are both outsiders in difficult and strange situations. There is somewhat of a bond between them, and that has blossomed into something quite unexpected. For a very brief time, Klaus and Roger were actually engaged in a sexual relationship.
That was incredible!
They worked at it for a little bit until one of them wanted to get more serious.
Sorry, boy, but I am out.
The whole situation was rather odd, to say the very least, but it was still sweet in its own way. Klaus befriending Hayley. Klaus has always had a very difficult relationship with the Smiths.
Later, dumbass.
Why?
Oddly enough, the one member of the family he is proven to have a real friendship with is Hayley. They're honestly very nice to each other, which is kind of funny considering they're both frequently jerks to everyone else. But you know what, that might just be the secret sauce to why they work so well together. They are so close, in fact, they can communicate telepathically.
I say we mess with Steve without using our powers.
And at one point, they even got married. When it was revealed that Klaus was in the country illegally, she married him in order to get him an American citizenship. She even voluntarily transported her mind into a goldfish to make it official. Now that's friendship. However, things got complicated when she accidentally got pregnant and gave birth to their guppies. Now I don't know what happened to their babies, but Hayley eventually got back to her human body. And Klaus was made into a legal American citizen by Stan. Always in the background. Okay, let's just get real for a moment. Klaus has honestly had a terrible life. He spent decades trapped in a fish body, losing every hope and dream he had to the CIA's machinations. And he's stuck in a fishbowl 90% of the time with little hope of anything getting better. The saddest part about Klaus is how forgotten he often seems. He's pretty much in every episode, though he often plays no part in the story or has any actual lines. One of the series' biggest running gags is the fact that Klaus breaks the fourth wall to comment about how little participation he has in the episode.
I'm pretending my life is a DVD and I'm doing the director's commentary. It's something to do while I'm waiting to die of fin rot.
The jokes are funny, but the reality behind them isn't. Klaus has a tiresome and boring existence to look forward to, one with little hope of improvement. And there's a very high chance that he will live out the rest of his years in a fishbowl. Or maybe not. Faking his death. Klaus knows he has never really fit in with the rest of the Smith family. Some of the Smiths treat him better than others, but he's never really been treated like a fully fledged member of the family. These complicated feelings have led him to do some pretty crazy things. Jumping forward 15 years into the future, we find out that the Smiths have fallen out and that Klaus is dead. Or is he? You see, the fish faked his own death and put his mind into the body of a nun. His goal was to find out how the family would respond to his death and watch them mourn for him.
For I am Klaus!
Through a series of events, we discovered the reason why the Smiths stopped talking to each other was all because Klaus wasn't around to be the lightning rod for their insults.
Klaus is incredibly important because he sucks so much.
Realizing that he had an important part to play in the family after all, Klaus moved back in with the Smiths. Big changes by 2045. American Dad loves looking into the future, the past, and even alternate timelines. But one episode took fans on a very unexpected journey with Klaus that showed him in a place that no one expected. Klaus was shown in the year 2045 as an old man reading a story to his grandson, like he was Peter Falk in The Princess Bride. The crazy part about this was the fact there was no explanation of how or when he made this transition from fish back to human.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You were a fish?
Oh, yeah, that.
This was an entire future that was left completely unexplained. But at the very least, it was nice to see Klaus have a life outside of his fishbowl.
Were you ever a shark?
Yes, I was 2 sharks and a monkey. Now shut up and go to bed.
And so that completes the life of Klaus the goldfish. If you enjoyed this video, then please do me a solid and click that subscribe button for more timeline videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.